Episode 5, The Decision. Nova turned to the painting, took a deep breath, and called to her presence. I need to visualize time as a straight line, curve, spiral, flat circle. I'm gonna go with a curve. Just as Emiliano advised. Her fingers slowly glided through the air. Nova was counting to herself, making sure not to disrupt her breathing. Again and again, her attempts to break into the space between the present, the past, and the future failed. Time refused to let her in, but she kept pushing. You were saying something about help, Emiliano. That thought made something in her chest explode like a firework. It was an unpleasant, sharp sensation, and the catcher shuddered, forcing herself to stay focused. An image of him flashed before her eyes, lingering only for a full split second. And then the path opened. The canvas of time seethed, disturbed by her intrusion. Nova didn't move, giving herself a moment to adapt. This time, Fata Morgana felt different. More vicious, more distrustful, more chaotic. I suppose the approach I take changes how I experience it. She was being pulled in every direction. A loud noise ringing in her ears. It was a challenge, and she had to accept it. Knowing she was truly alone now, the catcher clenched and unclenched her fists, preparing for the next step. Find the spike. At her touch, the veil rippled even more, revealing the outlines of the portrait's history. A little more, a little closer. And then Nova saw it. Yes, it worked. She almost ruined everything with her enthusiasm. The space darkened, and she quickly steadied herself. So now to figure out which of these spikes is the one I need. There are only 3 of them. That makes sense. The painting was moved a lot, but nobody really changed anything about it. I'll take a look at one of the straight sections, the first spike, the second spike, the third spike. We'll go with a spike. To the first one. This is the only choice that makes sense. I need to see the painting when it was first created. The very beginning. Swallowing, Nova touched the line. The veil fell, presenting the painting as it was at the chosen moment. In front of her now was a bare panel. Wait, that was before it was painted? Question mark? I keep forgetting that the portrait was done on wood, not on canvas. This is it. The moment before the great Renaissance painter started another one of his masterpieces. The realization of being incredibly close to the discovery, along with her own place in it, all gripped her soul. Her hands froze in the air. Nova was afraid to move. Her heart began beating harder. A drop of sweat rolled down her forehead, reminding her that she couldn't stay in Fata Morgana indefinitely. I need to fast forward. Having gotten her emotions under control, she ran her fingers through the space in front of her, shifting the long, petrified time. It didn't like that at all. Her bones quivered with tension as the air thickened around her. The catcher had to fight her way through it, feeling as though she was a split second from losing her grip. Soon, it seemed like she was falling. Nova stopped, pressed her palms to her watery eyes, and took a couple of deep breaths. She managed to reach the sketch stage. Giving herself a moment to recover, Nova took a closer look. Approximate silhouettes, composition plans. I should focus on the position of the young man's hands, the young man's outfit, the bench, the young man's hat. How about the landscape out the window? That's right, the landscape. Her knees almost buckled, not from lack of strength, but from the surge of adrenaline that coursed through her veins after that revelation. I better return to the present while I still can do so smoothly. The catcher left Fata Morgana, smiling from ear to ear. I found it. A little dizzy, Nova pulled up a chair and sat down. Maybe you should rest a bit first. I don't want to waste any time. What did you see? Vesper clasped her hands, trying to hide her nervousness. Shen, could you hand me that book over there? I need to check something. Warlock handed her the heavy volume. Having found the right page, Nova confirmed her guess. Yes, this must be it. She pointed at the painting. Look at the landscape outside the window. All we can see now is a vague white structure, and there's no way to identify it. But in the initial stages, it was clear that Raffaello was planning to paint something else. Come on, don't leave us hanging. In addition to being a painter, he was also... God, you're expecting me to remember this. Was it sculptor or architect? I want to say architect. I remembered one of his projects. Santiago degli Orifici. That's a church. I'm sure Raffaello was planning to put that church in the portrait, but ended up changing his mind for some reason. You think the next clue is in the church? When was it built? Lucian took the book to find out. The facade was finished by 1522, but Raffaello was already dead at the time, whilst the church had been rebuilt several times since then. So even if the clue was there, it could have been destroyed long ago. Yes, but... we shouldn't lose hope. We spent so much time trying to find this painting, and now we finally discovered something. Maybe he managed to hide something before his death, or he asked one of his friends to do it for him. It's not like we have any other options, so let's follow this lead. Well done, Nova, thank you. Get some rest. Tomorrow night, you and Shin are going to that church. Tomorrow night? Vesper shrugged. I don't see the point in postponing it. I'll ask the guys to look into the security situation over there. Good. Can you get me the building plans? They stayed in the vault to discuss other details. When the captor returned to her room, it started to get dark. The skies were painted a heavy gray, with rain pounding insistently on the window. Collapsing onto the bed, Nova closed her eyes. The reversing time with Emiliana's presence took its toll. Her limbs ached, her head felt heavy as lead. I want to go to sleep, but I need to contact Renato first. She took out her phone and typed a message. Could we meet today instead of tomorrow? I need a consultation. It's urgent. The answer came within a minute, stating the address and time. Good. The woman curled up in a ball and dozed off. The light burned her skin. The smell of metal, smoke, damp pages, and of wood. Hello? The hall remained silent, cold, indifferent. She called out, Dad? The air around her compressed, pressing on her shoulders with an unbearable weight. Prove yourself. The unfamiliar voice came from somewhere above, a place invisible to her, echoing off the walls with a menacing resonance. Prove you are ready to sacrifice what is dear to you. What is dear to me? You're about to make the final choice of your love interest in the story. You'll be able to select one of your characters you have enough relationship points with. If you want to pursue a polyamorous relationship with Onyx and Talus, choose Onyx in the following choice. For the rest of the story, romantic improvements will be available with your chosen love interest only. You can continue building friendships with all the other characters. Nova blinked. The realization ran through her body in sharp goosebumps. The voice meant... my own life, Renato, Onyx. So no Vesper, Shen, or anyone. Okay, that's a bit weird, because we've barely spent any time with Renato. I'm just pointing that out. And I've literally chose every diamond choice up until now with everyone else, so I'm a little confused, but okay. I mean, figuring we are pretty close with Onyx, why not? What kind of sacrifice? She felt something heavy in her palm. A dagger. What? A silhouette appeared on the altar in the middle of the hall. Please don't tell me I'm about to stab Onyx, because I did not want to choose Onyx. Onyx's chest rose and fell as she breathed slowly, her hands resting on her stomach. She was so gentle, so spirited, and so vulnerable. Nova touched her wrist, her fingers numb. How could I let myself fall in love? She knew she must beg forgiveness from her father, from God, for going astray, from Onyx, for allowing herself to think about her, for letting her gaze linger, for desiring her, despite everything Nova knew about herself and her mission. The hungry silver of the blade in her palm glittered in the light. Fix your mistake. The sound slapped her, crushed her soul. She refused to obey. No. The words burst out of her chest, treacherous, sick, pathetic. No. Her throat tightening with shame. She fell to her knees, icy tears of glass filled her eyes, and the dagger clattered against the stone floor. Knock at the door brought her back to reality. Startled, she sat up in bed. It was still raining outside. After making sure she'd hidden her phone, Nova wiped the sweat from her forehead and gave the visitor permission to enter. Ah, it's Onyx. I mean, I'm digging outfit number 1, I'm just saying. It's kind of really nice. Shh, leave me alone. I have a weakness. Not disturbing you, am I? The witch fought the urge to cry, seeing her now after her nightmare. She wanted to take Onyx in her arms, hold her close, never ever let go. Pushing those crazy thoughts away, Nova spoke, her voice hoarse. Oh, no, of course not. I'm always glad to see you. Did something happen? Just came by to see what you were up to. Onyx's shoulders were tense, and her tail was swinging from side to side, betraying her anxiety. And that's... I needed a distraction. Nova, I can't think about the whole thing anymore. I can't think about her. Are you busy? Want to play a board game? I don't know, do you want to build a snowman? Nova nodded enthusiastic. I've still got a lot of time before I need to meet Renato, so... Sure, I'd love to. But can we do that in your room? I'll go have a snack and come by after. Yeah, no problem. In the kitchen, Nova opened the fridge in hopes of finding something to eat. Her thoughts returned to her dream and a chill ran over her skin. She fell in love. For the first time in her life, she actually fell in love. She had never been so scared before. I suppose I knew it already. The only thing that changed now is my subconscious won't let me ignore these feelings anymore. God. She knew nobody should use her name in vain. Or his name in vain. Especially her, but that was probably the least of her sins. Noticing her fingers starting to tremble, Nova swallowed. I'll figure something out. I will. She shook her head, forcing her mind to switch over to another matter. A voice distracted her from her thoughts. Don't touch my mice on the top shelf, alright? The witch grinned, grabbed an orange, and turned to Talus, who must have flown in through the window. Goodwin, you don't actually keep dead mice in the communal fridge, though, right? Okay. Right? This is like that meme. He shrugged, chuckled, walking over to the fridge. I don't worry. Nova watched him, slowly peeling the orange, and the thought about the sunset she shared with him and Onyx. The memory made her blush. And Talus took out a bowl with one of Jorge's dishes, which was oh so easy to identify. Took a spoon, started eating it cold. Wow. Ravens are pretty much omnivores. I'd rather eat this than waste time cooking. Not a fan of hanging out in the kitchen.
Yeah. How'd your secret meeting go?
Oh, went fine.
I asked Vespa to let me join, but she said it was too soon, even though Onyx vouched for me.
Don't worry too much about that. Life's much easier when you stay away from all these plans and mysteries. And safer. Talos put another spoonful of food in his mouth and swallowed, barely chewing.
I guess. I just want to be useful.
You are. I don't think I've ever thanked you for helping to look for me back in Geneva. So thank you.
You're welcome.
The following choice is important. All is determine whether you're in a polyamorous relationship. The choice is final. If you start this branch, you won't be able to return to a monogamous relationship with Onyx. If you don't start this branch now, you won't be able to have another chance to do so. Nova. This is a tough one. I'm an open-minded individual, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Something wrong?
Hmm?
The way you're looking at me, it's interesting.
Weird. You mean?
A bit, but I mean not bad weird.
They fell silent, but their eyes remained locked on each other. Slightly embarrassed, the catcher felt torn between wanting to return to Onyx and staying in the kitchen with Talos. Onyx and I were going to play a board game. Would you like to join? She didn't even give herself time to think it through before inviting him, but didn't regret it for a second.
I don't know, Nova.
Talos set the bowl aside.
If you're doing this out of pity, then don't. Okay?
I'm not sure I understand what you're referring to. Sighed and rubbed his face with his hand.
Come on. I feel like everyone knows I'm in love with Onyx at this point. Everyone but her, that is. She's like a blind kitten when it comes to stuff like this, though she gives off a very different impression. The feelings aren't mutual.
I wonder if that's actually the case. When we were on the roof, it seemed like maybe he might be blind as well. She pictured Talos and Onyx together. The image made her wince from unpleasant pang of jealousy. What followed, however, was another feeling similar to excitement.
I see the way she looks at you. It's okay. I appreciate that you worry about me and invite me to spend time with the two of you, but you really don't have to. I don't want to get in the way. I can handle it, and if something does work out between you and Onyx, I'll be happy for you. Perhaps not right away, but I will.
He spoke again with a short pause, his voice quieter now.
You're a great woman. Kind, selfless. I couldn't have wished for a better partner for my dear friend.
Nova stared at him, trying to think of something to say. She liked his wisdom, patience, honesty, except he doesn't know much about me. How soon would they find the source? How soon would the entire magical community learn the truth? How much time did she have left? The unknown was frightening. She reached out to Talos, driven by the fear of missing out on her life, of not enjoying it while she still could. She slowly placed his palm in hers, trusting her, even though he couldn't know what was going through her mind. It's complicated. Much more complicated than I'd like. The catcher released him, her chest burning with a mixture of emotions ranging from pleasure to shame, fueled by doubts about the gesture being inappropriate or inappropriate. My mission aside, I'm in love with Onyx. We're not in a relationship, but it isn't really normal that I want to hold someone else's hand. What would she think if she saw us now? What do I myself even think? I swear the further I go, the less I understand what's happening to me. Talos, who interpreted her silence in his own way, looked into her eyes.
Hey.
Sorry, I want you to know that I didn't invite you out of pity. I like spending time with you. With both you and Onyx. If it's uncomfortable for you to be around us, to see us together, I get it. If not, it'd be nice if you joined us. She promised herself to figure it all out later. For now, she wanted Talos to come with her.
Alright, let's go.
Exchanging modest smiles, they went to Onyx's room. I'm not alone.
Hi.
Oh, you're back already. Hey. Onyx, who was sitting on the bed, beamed at the sight of the two guests and gestured for them to come closer. So, what's the game? It's a card game. A witch who lived in a nest a couple of years ago invented it. Various character cards were laid out on the blanket. I helped her with the design. Nova studied the game, amazed by the amount of detail and interesting descriptions. It's so cool.
I had a similar deck when I was a kid, with all sorts of soldiers and armies from different countries.
When I was a kid, chess was the only game I had, and even then I wasn't allowed to touch the pieces. Your parents were that strict with you? The catcher bit her tongue. I'm way too relaxed. I have to be careful. I'll give myself away like a freaking idiot. Sometimes, yeah.
Will you explain the rules, Onyx?
Onyx made herself comfortable. She's so cute when she smiles like that. The deck consists of 3 categories of cards. 3 games later. Oh, come on, you could have described it. Nope. Your elder is no match for my dragon. With her best impression of a fire-breathing dragon, Nova threw her card onto Onyx's. She felt like she suddenly got a chance to be a child again and forget about who she really was for a couple of hours. Beginner's luck.
That's the 3rd time you've said that. Just admit we're better at this than you.
No, I was going easy on you because I felt sorry for you. You wouldn't be able to handle how good I really am. Oh, look at that pout. Nova laughed, throwing her head back, and when she finally calmed down, she found both Talus and Onyx staring at her intently. The witch cleared her throat, sitting up straighter. Thanks for coming to hang out. I needed it. Of course.
It was fun. We should do it again sometime, but get some snacks and something to drink. Could even steal a bottle of Astra Famore.
Onyx and Talus fell back into conversation, and Nova glanced at the clock. I could stay a little longer, or I could go back to my room. Stay. Nova yawned, Talus followed, and then Onyx. After one of her big cat stretches, she leaned back against the pillows and then blinked slowly at her guests. I refuse to keep playing. You've conspired against me. It's not our fault, it's that you're just bad at this. The witch stuck out her tongue, and Onyx retaliated by yanking her arm, causing her to tumble onto the bed. In an attempt to stay sitting, Nova grabbed Talus's shoulder, but all that did was drag him along. They all ended up on the bed. Ouch.
Onyx, you're squishing my hand.
Nova laughed, letting herself relax. Her head ended up on Onyx's right shoulder, while Talus now occupied the left. She blushed deeply, thinking of what it all looked like, but made no attempt to get up.
Now we're going to be covered in cat's hair.
That's my revenge for all of your jokes. Onyx's right hand casually rested on the catcher's waist as her left settled on Talus's back. The Anamorphics took a deep breath. Their heads rose and fell in sync. You two are the closest people I have in the entire world. Her voice became quiet, monotonous. Eventually the words gave way to a low purr that reverberated in her chest. Nova reached out to remove a small feather from Talus's hair, which he must have flossed during the fall. Smiling, peering the feather over Talus's nose, and he jokingly rolled his eyes in response. Warm and cozy next to them, Nova closed her eyes. She didn't feel like sleeping, so she just lay there listening to their breathing and enjoying the stolen moment. After a while, she got up and walked to the door, doing her best to make as little noise as possible. Her hand on the handle, she turned back to look at the peacefully sleeping pair for the last time. Onyx and Talus would have loved for you to be there when they woke up. I have no idea where this is all going. I only know 3 things for sure. I'm in love with Onyx. I like having Talus around, and I've got to get these thoughts out of my head. shut the door behind her. Well, I didn't have a choice to stay. At the address Renato sent, Nova found something she didn't expect to find. A church. She cursed under her breath, thinking that she had arrived at the wrong location, but noticed a familiar silhouette around the corner. He beckoned her to follow him and led her through the back door. The priest turned to her when they found themselves in a small room. As soon as their eyes met, he took a step towards her, but she recoiled. "Hello, Father Renato." He blushed as if the deliberately formal address felt somehow wrong to him. He clasped his hands, averted his eyes, and nodded several times. "Hello." Silence. He secretly hoped you were thinking of him. Renato looked at her again, but didn't seem to find what he was looking for. And it hurt him. "I care." Still, after just a moment, he stood up straighter. "Why did you reschedule our meeting?" "We found the next clue." "Oh, wonderful news." Nova was about to start talking, but was interrupted by a knock at the door. "We're not alone here?" "Don't worry." Renato walked to the door, said something to the person behind it. Having received the answer he was expecting, he let the guest in. "Ah, hello, Father." Nova could barely believe her eyes. "Your Eminence." The priest bowed, and the cardinal replied with a short nod. "I'll leave you." He closed the door behind him. Cardinal Barone gave her one of his rare, warm smiles.
"Hello, daughter."
He came. "I'm gonna wait." She froze in place, struggling to decide how to behave. The cardinal looked at her and slowly opened his arms. The next moment, she was in his embrace. He put his heavy palm on her head as he did in her childhood when he wanted to praise her for studying well. And then he let her go, abruptly and all too soon, as always.
"I'm sorry I didn't come sooner."
"It's okay. I understand."
"Thank God you returned to Rome safe and sound. He's looking out for us. He favors our plan."
I don't know how to feel about this one. I'm gonna go with he should be thanking the Incineration Alliance for saving me. She bit her tongue, not daring to say it out loud. They sat on the bench at opposite corners. Nova folded her hands on her knees, keeping her back straight. Every vertebrae, every muscle in her body tensed. "I came to tell Renato that I know what to do next. I have found the key in the painting." When she finished speaking, she felt a pang of shame for that "I," which felt so separate and lonely. "The next clue is hidden in the church of Sant'Eliago degli Orefici. Vesper wants to go there tomorrow night."
"I will make sure the clergyman there won't cause any issues, but I might not be able to help with the security."
"That's enough. Thank you, Father."
"So, we are getting closer to the source."
He stared at her intently. I was almost going to start speaking Italian there for a minute. I don't know why. I just started. Dive, that stare. Dive into childhood memories. Yay! Trauma.
Once again,
"Listen carefully, I'm sending you out like sheep among the wolves, so be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." Nova stretched the edge of her sweater, slipped her fingers between the threads. Her throat was dry. She wanted to look at the clock, but Cardinal Barone stood in front of her. Blocking her view, the girl lowered her eyes in shame.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5.
Man.
No.
Swallowing, Nova closed her eyes. "You know this one, come on. Trust in and rely confidently on the Lord with all your heart. Do not rely on your own insight or understanding."
Verse 6.
"In all your ways know and acknowledge and recognize him, and he will make your path straight and smooth." She was distracted by laughter outside the window. 4 girls were playing tag on the playground. The next moment, the curtains were drawn.
Have you found something that is more worthy of attention than the Word of God?
No, Father, I'm sorry. He exhaled loudly, crouched to take a good look at her. She fidgeted. The gaps between the threads of her sweater had become so large that she could fit 2 fingers between them, so she kept pulling on them.
Do you understand why you are studying?
Nova nodded. She preferred it when he talked to her standing up. He gave her a chance to turn away, to avoid his sharp gaze and that expression. The expression that froze somewhere between the estrangement and unnatural emotionness, the expression that was more frightening than anger or disapproval.
It isn't for my entertainment. Not because I want you to. You know how serious your mission is. I wish you could play outside, go to school, grow up like all the other kids. But you are not like them, Nova. There's too much that depends on whether you succeed. When the time comes, you have to be ready.
He got up and turned his back on her.
The epistle to the Romans, chapter 13, start from the beginning, continue until I say it's enough.
Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those which exist have been put in place by God. So,
Therefore,
whoever resists authority resists the ordinance of God. And those who have resisted it will bring judgment on themselves. Oh, we had the same childhood, except mine was worse. Anyway.
we must be doing everything right.
The Cardinal closed his eyes and whispered thanks to the Lord for his help and supervision.
Stay vigilant. Do whatever it takes to keep your secret. Whatever it takes.
Nova nodded despite a wave of unpleasant feeling washing over her. The closer we are, the higher the risks.
Indeed. That's why it is so important not to take the wrong step now. But if you are found out...
She knew what she had to do in that case. Swear to the Incineration Alliance that the time she'd spent at the nest changed her. Promise that she wanted to get away from the church, beg for forgiveness, do whatever they told her to do, and so they would let her stay. Stop all communication with Renato, her father, and so as not to give herself away. Find the source, take it, bring it to the Vatican. Thinking about betraying the Alliance twice, a realization dawned on her. I don't want to do that. I don't want to give the source to the church. I don't want to use it against others, against us. At least that choice went through for me. Not the love interest ones, though. The fog in her mind began to dissipate. It became so clear, so obvious. Relief, annoyance, and fear engulfed her. She blinked, shaking her head. The sudden realization stunned her, hit her like a pile of bricks. I can't give myself away to my father. With no idea what she would do now, Nova forced herself to speak evenly, apathetically. I remember what to do if they found out the truth.
Good. Remember what I taught you. Remember who you are, Nova. You may think you are like them, that you're one of them, but that's not true. The woman who keeps you around because of your gift, you're just a tool to them.
And to you? The question came out by itself. She expected to irritate her father, maybe even anger him. But Cardinal Baron smiled and covered her hand with his.
To me, you are my daughter. Bullshit. Sent to me by the Lord.
Nod. The Cardinal released her hand and stood up. She followed.
Now go. Everything will work out as it should.
Yes, Father. Before she left, Nova decided to say goodbye to Renato. She walked carefully and quietly. The church was small, so it didn't take long to find him. The priest was lighting one of the candles. The air was saturated with incense, and the night light streamed inside in transparent waves. When she spoke, her voice felt too loud, superfluous. "Sorry to interrupt, Renato. I came to say goodbye." He turned to her with a somewhat strained smile. "Did your meeting with His Eminence go well?" Yes." Her hesitation didn't escape his attention, but he didn't question her. "I'm glad to hear it. Was it you who arranged for him to come? Condo Barone mentioned he'd have time to see you. All I had to do was find a place. Fortunately, he was able to adjust to a sudden change of plans and be here today." "Very fortunate indeed." Have a look around. She wasn't very comfortable in the churches, but this one had a peaceful atmosphere. "It's beautiful here." "Is this your church?" "No. It would be too risky to invite you to mine. My friend is the priest here." He's right."
Oh, give me a break with the negative.
That's stupid for losing a status for that. Only he would know. "I like the simplicity of this place. It's cozy. My church is bigger, but I'm going to be transferred. I've recently submitted a request and hope it will be approved." "I see. Are you looking to increase the size of your parish?" "On the contrary. I realized I can't perform my role properly when I have too many parishioners." "Oh, you're quite unambitious then." "I wouldn't say that." He shrugged. "Depends on how you look at it. I have many ambitions: to help people find faith, to teach, to support. I'd be lying if I said I am a stranger to pride, that I've never thought about being influential. When I was younger, I even dreamed of being a cardinal. And now? And now I think God likes me where I am. Besides, I look terrible in red." He lit a thin candle and put it in a candle holder. "Would you like to join me in a prayer?" "What?" He said it so casually, as if he was offering her a cup of tea, not violating one of the main rules of his religion. Others weren't allowed to pray in churches. She recoiled as if burned. "Why would you ask that? I can't." "I think you can." "You think? Do your thoughts mean more than the code of canon law?" It sounded harsh. His offer struck a wound, the depth of which Nova hadn't realized until that moment. She'd remembered that one time she asked to pray with her father and received a stern refusal. Renato only tilted his head to the side with a detached smile. "It's up to you, Nova. If you don't want to, you don't have to." "I never thought anyone would suggest this to me." "Yeah, but perhaps he's one of change, where he accepts others versus the old ones do not accept you." "Okay." Noticing the tension in her shoulders and on her face, the priest asked, "Do you believe in God?" Why are you asking?" Eva looked around in fear, suddenly remembering that she was surrounded by the images of saints. "I'm curious." "I believe, of course. Otherwise I wouldn't be so afraid of..." She stopped. "Otherwise you wouldn't be so afraid of him?" The young woman shrugged, worried that she'd said something wrong. "What does the Lord, your God, require from you but to fear the Lord, your God, to walk in all of his ways, and to love him? You fear. Do you love?" Instead of a direct answer, she blurted out, "He doesn't love me." He sighed, lowering his eyes. "I'm very sorry you think that. Sorry you were forced to not thank One Romance Club. Think that. And not only you. If someone heard what you're saying, you, the one who should hear me, hears me." There was an unexpected firmness, a strength in his voice. He held her gaze for a long moment. We're going to pray. Let's start. Can I not do this aloud? You don't need my permission. It's between you and him. They knelt to the altar, clasping her hands and placing them on her lap. Nova reached to God. She didn't manage to tell him much, constantly being interrupted by doubts that what she was doing was appropriate. However, when she was done, she felt light. Standing up, the pair exchanged smiles. You know, come on, you could have done a prayer. And I'm not even a religious type, but you could have at least included it. Well, thank you, Renato. I have to go now. I hope to see you soon. Leaving through the back door, Nova thought about how strange and pleasant it was to realize that any of their meetings could be their last. The following night, the catcher bit her lower lip, choosing an outfit for the mission. It should be something comfortable in case we have to run, but also casual enough to not arouse suspicion if someone sees me. Literally what you're wearing, but I digress. Ulysses? Barbara. Yeah, kind of like it. It's all black. Are the gloves black too? Yes! Agnes. Okay. Okay, looks like kind of like a Robin Hood-ish. Buy all outfits for 52. This one's a tough one. I like both of these. Even the free outfit's not too bad either, I'm not gonna lie. Choices, take note. Anyway. Why not? All good. Current hairstyle. Ponytails. We got some different ones with, diamonds. Yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with the current one. Chef's kiss. Great. She went to the bathroom to put in her contacts. And just in time, there was a knock at the door as soon as she was done. Oh. Well, that was very quick and short and sweet, but... I mean, it's still long, but, I think it's bullshit! I lost a status point. One sun, one moon, one power, loss of status, but it doesn't show it, but we still lost it. Bullshit! Anyway, let me get the diamonds. Alright, so we got our diamonds. Without further ado, looks like there is the next chapter up. So do keep in mind today is August 8th. The app has not been updated yet, so it probably won't be updated until tomorrow. But I'm still working on other chapters, other books, and whatnot. And that being said, I'm going to say the following. So, yeah, well, first and foremost, if you did enjoy, like, share, and subscribe. There's also the join and thanks features on the channel. There's a lot of other ways you can support. Please consider doing so, especially if you want me to push out a lot more Romance Club content. I do enjoy the app. I really, truly do. But, aside from that, so, for me, I kind of... a lot to unpack from this chapter with my personal self, and I try not to let things that get at me or goad me get at me and goad me during readings. If you know it, quickly pause, leave a comment down in the comment section below, and then be like, oh, okay, and whatever I'm going to say, and then if you're right or not. But, even though technically I'm still allowing you to cheat, so, I grew up in a household of, we'll go with a religion, and it was quite intense, and also very hypocritical. I have a very much love-hate relationship with religion and humans. For me, I'm gonna put myself out there on a pillar, by the way. I'm sorry to do this, and if you've been here as long as I've been doing this shit, I never do. Right? I try and be as humble as possible, but I'm gonna do this. When I was a young man, I searched through a lot of religions. I studied at least 3 different religions, and I tried to find, because the hypocrisy in my own home with Christianity, just throwing that out there. So, we're not going to trauma dump. Long story short is, I have lived by the good rules of multiple religions my entire life, and I have never broke them, not because of human bullshit, the Ten Commandments, all that shit, because it's just the right thing to do. These are just commonsensical rules that don't need religion to back them, right? Okay? You can still live your life without any of that and be a good person and still be accepted by whatever you want to say exists. I want to believe, and this is my feeling, I want to believe something out there exists. I want to believe there's something bigger. I want to believe there's something that's beyond when I die. There's someone who, goes, hey man, you lived a really good life. You get to live this kind of life now and up in the pearly gates or wherever the hell. I also accept the fact that, when I die, it may just be straight blackness. There may be nothing, and then my energy gets sucked in the cosmos and it's redistributed in another way. I don't know. None of us truly know. We can only have faith in what happens. I'm a very open-minded individual. Secondly, I just...
Religion irritates me.
Anyway, again, when it comes to Renato, again, he's an open-minded person. He's trying to not be like the old ways. And, if you look at today, the year's 2024, it's kind of the same, right? A lot of religion is kind of a more open-minded and everything for that. And here's the thing is, as human beings, we should not have the ability to judge other beings, right? Unless they do a crime, right? But we shouldn't have the ability to judge, whether it be aliens. I don't care if little purple or gray people land right now. We do not have the ability or right to judge other people. It is not our place, because if you are in a religion, basically that is that, when they die, they are to be judged. There's also a thing I believe in that I am devoted to, which is karma. Very much so. While karma doesn't kick in for everybody, don't worry. It's going to hit you eventually one day. Good karma sometimes seems a little bit slower, but it also can carry on beyond this life, so keep that in mind. Clearly I've had a lot of bad hands dealt to me, and I don't want to rant and rave, but this is one subject that really touched some roots with me, so I gotta get this out there. Aside from that, let me know in the comment section below what happened with the relationships. Again, I'm kind of confused. I picked all the diamond choices, I picked all the things I could to be kind of like copacetic and carry a possibility of a relationship with anyone, whether it be Vesper, Shin, like anyone really, but I don't know what happened. We only were given the Onyx one, and I don't know if it's because we accepted her as a familiar and everything else like that, but then also Renato came out of left field, right? And we didn't spend much time with him at all, even though we spent a couple diamond choices with him. I'm just really confused why the choice was Onyx or Renato. Like, someone let me know who, what, when, where, and why happened, because, like, Vesper should have been up there with all the affection and everything we've had with her. Shen, you'll have to forgive me, the vampire guy's name literally slips my mind right now. But we spent every diamond choice with him as well. And I'm confused. I'm genuinely confused. But anyway, other than that, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Catch you all later. Peace out.